It's the celebration of spring in more than a dozen countries. I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein, and today I'm celebrating the Chinese New Year. 15 days of celebration, of course, food, today on SoFlo Taste. How fun is that? Good morning, Taste Buddies, and welcome to SoFlo Taste here in the Goya Kitchen at J World in Coconut Creek. And Gong Hei Fat Choi, that's Chinese, Cantonese to be specific, for Happy New Year. About 1/6 of the world's population celebrates Chinese New Year, and just like the first day of spring can change on the Gregorian calendar from year to year, so can the dates of the Chinese New Year. This year, its first day falls on February 1st. So today I thought it would be fun to give you some recipes perfect for celebrating Chinese New Year. So let's get cooking. I love Chinese steamed fish. It's probably one of my favorite things. And of course, we go straight to Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market to get beautiful whole fish. So I asked them this time for a 2 to 3 pounder because I want to feed about 3 to 4 people with this fish. So this is a yellowtail. And I took the head off, but if you want them to take the head off, they will do that for you. It is a gorgeous 2.5 pound fish, and they've scaled it for me, they've gutted it, and they've trimmed all of the fins and the tail, but I've asked them to keep the whole skeleton intact, because I think that it just makes the juiciest fish. I hope you enjoyed going to Delaware Chicken Farm over the holidays. I mean, they saved me and my dinners. But now it's time to make your orders for platters, for dips. The big game on February 13th. Don't forget Valentine's Day on the 14th, of course. Delaware is at 4191 North State Road 7 in Hollywood, or just go to delawarechicken.com. Make it easy. You can call them, of course, 954-983-6831. Tell them I sent you, and tell them I send you tons of love. All right, so let's jump right into this recipe because, like I said, it's really, really simple. So the first thing you want to do is score your fish. So to do that, you're going to make little diamond shapes, and it's really simple. And I like to really spread as much of the score across the fish as possible. So take a sharp knife, not too big of a knife, and don't go too deep into the fish. And you basically are trying to just cut the skin and as little flesh as possible. And then you're going to take it the other way, always on a bias, and just cut through to make these pretty diamond shapes. It's not just because it's attractive. It actually is a way and a vehicle to add more flavor into those little pieces of openings of the fish. So we're going to just do that on this other side as well, and then go ahead with our little diamond shapes. All right, so now that we have a beautiful scored fish, we're going to want to add some flavor to this. So I've already salted a little bit of the cavity as well as the exterior, but I'm using soy sauce, so I don't want to salt it too heavily. But I'm going to make this little mixture that's a little bit traditional. It is a little bit of sugar, tiny bit of sugar, some soy, a little bit of oil. I like using peanut oil for this. And I basically just mix that up. So this goes right over, and really work it into the scoring of the fish. All right. So this is already going to taste delicious because you already have a little salty sweetness, a little bit of that oil, but also we need to add a little bit of vegetable to that. So I've got some fresh ginger as well as scallions. We're going to use the white part to cook it, the green part for a garnish. So this is some clean ginger. I'm just going to cut this down into little thin slices, like so. Put all these back together so that we can cut nice julienne pieces of the ginger. So let's go ahead and put this ginger all over the top of the fish, and this is going to steam and soften as the fish cooks as well. So for the white part of the scallion, and again we're going to use these for garnish later, I'm just going to slice these up because I want a little bit of that onion flavor on my fish, and again, I want it to steam together. So all these are also going to go over the fish. So I have one steaming right now. This is an electric steamer. I use this a lot at home. I'm going to very quickly, and be careful because this is hot, I'm going to put this on hold. I'm just going to pause it so we can look in and see what the fish is doing. This is all steaming together, and I put a little dish, as you can see, under the fish to collect the juices, because that part you don't want to lose. It's delicious. So I set a little plate down there, and I would also do that in a bamboo steamer to collect that natural juice. When you come back, of course, we're going to garnish it and make it look even more beautiful. And I've got some seriously delicious recipes I cannot wait to show you. So come on back real soon. But before you go, you know I'm socially distanced from my crew here, and they're all wearing masks. And guys, I really appreciate that. And as soon as the cameras are off, I will mask up too. So take your best shot, South Florida, and be safe. Now come right back.
Chef Michelle has more from the Goya Kitchen at JA World. SoFlo Taste is back in 2.
Welcome back to SoFlo Taste, where I'm celebrating Chinese New Year, the largest publicly celebrated holiday in the world, also known as Spring Festival. It lasts 15 days, and as any other holiday I know of, food is a large part of the celebration. Let's get back to just that. I always wanted to learn how to make something called dan dan noodles, which is a Szechuan stir-fry kind of a noodle, and I'm actually going to add a little bit of ground pork to it because I think it makes it even more delicious. Sometimes the noodles are cooked in water and then just tossed in the sauce, but I actually wanted to stir-fry the noodles to give them just a little more texture. So I'm heating up a little bit of oil without much flavor at all. And let's go ahead and add, these are noodles that we bought at an Asian store. These are Chinese noodles. These have been soaked and drained, and they're nice and soft. So I'm just gonna go ahead and stir fry them a little bit. And as I fry them, I'm gonna make the sauce for this. Like I said, I have a little ground pork, which is just cooked here. I didn't really cook it in anything but the tiniest bit of oil, so that's ready to go. So for the sauce, we have some plain peanut oil, light soy sauce, and yes, there's a difference between light and regular, and we also have dark soy sauce, which is also a little bit different, and I have all the bottles of everything here for y'all to see. I've got some sesame oil, chili oil, highly recommend having a little bit of this at home. This stuff is awesome. Black vinegar, a little bit of chicken broth, a little bit of Szechuan peppercorns that are these that have been toasted and ground. Whenever you toast any type of spice, you just want to put it into a nice dry pan and let it get fragrant with a little bit of heat. That's about it. The Chinese tahini. Now this stuff is the bomb. This is sesame paste, but Chinese style sesame paste. As you see, the color's darker and it's really good and toasty, just delicious. So that goes into, obviously this is the thickener, but also pretty much all the flavor goes in here. Now when you're making things, especially Chinese flavorings, with vinegar, and like a black vinegar that can be a little bit strong, you always want to have a little bit of sugar around. Taste your sauce, and if you feel like it needs a little sugar, then add it in. I already know that mine does. I'm adding a pinch of salt as well. Okay, next I'm going to get this big bowl. I really would love the idea of a crunchy vegetable in our noodle, so we went ahead and took some baby bok choy, look how cute these are, and we just blanched them for 20 seconds in boiling water and then iced them down. So I'm just going to slice them nice and thin, and we're going to toss them into our noodles once the noodles are ready as well. For garnish, we have roasted and salted peanuts. Now, I don't eat peanuts because I'm allergic, but I do love adding them into recipes that I'm not going to enjoy. I also don't eat flour, so I can't eat this recipe anyway. If you don't eat peanuts, and if you can't eat peanuts, you do have this beautiful sesame sauce right here, the sesame paste. And so why don't you go ahead and just toast some sesame seeds and add that for your garnish and your little crispy bits. We also have some sliced scallions here for a little garnish. Let's go ahead and add now these nice and crisp noodles to the mixing bowl. And then a little bit of the ground pork in there. Not too much, but it's kind of fun when you have some mixtures of textures, you know, in your noodles. Then we're gonna add a little bit of this gorgeous sauce that you really want to coat your noodles with, but don't go crazy. Don't add it all at once. I'm just gonna add a little bit. Some of this bok choy. Maybe we'll keep a little bit for garnish. Let's go ahead and mix it all up. So as you can see, the heat of the noodle and the heat of the pork is just warming the sauce. You never have to heat this sauce. So good. So make sure you kind of work the noodles so that you can get the pork and all the goodness all mixed up in there. We're just gonna put that on a pretty plate. Make sure we get all this good stuff right over the top. Yum. And I think what I'm gonna do is take some of the sauce, that yummy dandan sauce, and just put a little bit over the top, just a little spoonful, and drizzle a little bit right over, like so. And then garnish with some scallions that are really nice and thinly sliced. Some peanuts. And if you want to, add just a little bit more bok choy. And there you have it. Gorgeous Szechuan dandan noodles. They came out so beautiful. I'm so excited. Come right back so I can give you some more recipes for celebrating Chinese New Year. But before you go, scan this QR code. You'll also see it on ingredients lists throughout the show. You'll be taken to the SoFlo Show's webpage, and it's an easy way for taste buds to stay in touch. Now come right back. SoFlo Taste will return right after this. Welcome back to SoFlo Taste as we celebrate Chinese New Year's. As I always am, I'm here at the wonderful JA World in Coconut Creek, a great place dedicated to our kids. And for more information, go to jasouthflorida.org or call 954-979-7100. Now back to SoFlo Taste. Let's check on our gorgeous yellowtail snapper. So look at all the juices that we've collected on the bottom, which are so yummy. So I have this big platter here with a little bit of sticky rice. I'm going to, as gingerly as possible, put it on a platter. Now, you naturally have this beautiful sauce. Being careful because this is nice and hot. Pour as little or as much of this beautiful sauce right over the fish. And then remember I told you that I'm using the darker green part of the scallion for the garnish. And there you have it. Oh, so good. So enjoy that. But I think it's time to move on because I have one of my favorite recipes. So I've always wanted to make salt and pepper shrimp, and the way that you're really supposed to make it is with the shell on. So what you do is you take these beautiful shrimp, and thank you Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market again. They have so much great stuff. I know they're called a chicken farm, but their shellfish and fish are also just so wonderful. So they recommended these big, beautiful shrimp. They look like about a 1620. They might be a 1215. That's what you call shrimp because of their size per pound. And what you do is you leave the shell on, and you just take, honestly, a scissor is the best way, and you cut through the back of it, and you devein them like that so that you have a shell-on shrimp, which are really the best way to eat a crispy salt and pepper shrimp. Just so good. If you don't like the shell-on, totally cool. Have them remove the shells for you, and you can make the recipe the same exact way. All right, so let's get ready for this. This is cornstarch in this bowl. I'm just going to add some salt and ground black pepper to the cornstarch. Then you add as many shrimp as you're going to fry at the moment. Obviously, you don't want to crowd your pan too much. And you just want to toss this really well in the cornstarch. Maybe a couple more, and that's it. Okay, so take them one by one and place in the hot oil. So this is peanut oil. If you want to use just a regular canola or safflower oil, that's perfectly fine too. This is a deep fry, but I don't think that you need such a deep amount of oil. I think it's just a waste and a shame to use that much oil. This is, I guess some people would call this a shallow fry, but I would call this deep because the whole shrimp is under the oil. And you really just want to use the best quality of shrimp for this, mainly because there's not much to the dish other than the shrimp and some of the spices that we're going to be adding into it. I'm going to move this pan a little bit to make sure everything is getting equally fried. How do you know when it's done? Well, how do you know when any shrimp is done? It starts to curl and it starts turning a beautiful bright orange color. When we're done frying the shrimp, you always have chilies tossed into salt and pepper shrimp. Now, I like to soften the chilies a little bit and have some that are nice and fresh, so I'm going to put a few down to be raw, and then I'm going to throw a few serranos in here, but be careful, when you throw a chili in the hot oil, it's going to come back in your face, and I don't mean just the splatter, I mean the smell. It's going to be pretty intense. So these are ready. We're going to go right into the bowl. I'm going to grab the serranos too. As I pick up the shrimp, I'm picking up the chilies. So notice that I'm not going to a paper towel to pat dry the shrimp. That's because we want them straight from here, and we're going to throw some spices in here, and we need the spices to adhere to the shrimp. So we want a little bit of its oil still on them. So the last things we're going to do, we've got some Szechuan peppercorn, which I forgot to tell you all, the most fun part of a Szechuan peppercorn, it's not really that spicy, but it numbs your tongue a little bit, and then everything you eat afterwards is a little more numb. So because of it, you can eat a little bit more heat. So that's what the chilies are for. We also have a little bit of ground anise. I'm going to barely put any at all, because I want it to be so faint that people won't really know that there's the anise flavor in there, but it is delicious. A little bit of salt. You're going to want that salt. You're going to need that salt in there. So we've got our soft chilies in there as well as the crunchy ones. So let's go ahead and put this on here. And while I plate these up, why don't y'all come right back so we can finish this dish together, because we're not quite done yet. So hurry on back so I can show you how to make this even more beautiful.
SoFlo Home Project is next, right after SoFlo Taste.
Welcome back to SoFlo Taste. We've just made salt and pepper shrimp, and they are just, they smell so dreamy. I can't wait to get in there. And luckily, there's no flour, so I can eat it. Now, I love these with a little bit of cilantro, and I wanted to just give you all a little tip on chopping cilantro, because there's different ways you can do it. You can always, of course, just remove the leaves, and this is a great topping for things like not only this dish, but also the fish dish that we just made. However, my absolute favorite way to cut cilantro, because I love the flavor of the stem, is to just lay the whole thing on your board, of course with the softest parts of the stems and the leaves facing upwards, and just kind of curl it all together, and then just cut as thin as you can. It's actually called a chiffonade when you cut really beautifully thin. and I'm getting the tiniest bit of the most tender part of the stem as I cut the leaves. And then we just scoop that up and we put that on things like this beautiful fish. You can even do it on noodles or again on the shrimp. And there you go. Well, thanks, Taste Buds, for watching today. It was fun celebrating Chinese New Year's and this year of the tiger with you. Try some of these recipes because they'll make you say, Gong hei fat choi. Next week, I'll welcome in winter and its foods. I'll be going back to my roots, my root vegetables, that is, a savory onion soup, roast beet salad, and hearty beef stroganoff are all on my menu. So bundle up and join me for my ode to winter on the next SoFlo Taste. Now let's say good morning to design expert Elena Capra, host of SoFlo Home Project. Good morning, Elena. What's up next?
Hi, Michelle. Good morning. So did you know that one of the most difficult things about any home project is actually getting started? But don't worry, because coming up on SoFlo Home Project, we've got plenty of design tips and ideas that will hopefully jumpstart your next project.
Thanks, Elena. I know there are people who need that help, including me. So my taste buds, please be smart, be safe, and be vaccinated, and stay where you are for SoFlo Home Project and Elena. I'll see you next week. Goodbye, and good taste. Gong hei fat choi.